What are the top 7 fastest ways to get a green card here in the US? If you are undocumented and in the US and need to get a green card fast, there may be several options on how you can get one. However, not every single person will qualify for all of these methods. So as a bonus, I have included an option at the end of this video that is a little slower than the rest, but there's a much better chance that you may qualify for it. Okay, so what are the fastest ways to get a green card? The top quickest way to get a green card in the US is through marriage to a US citizen. After getting married to a US citizen, you can go from being undocumented to having a green card in as little as 10 to 24 months. But your marriage must be to a US citizen and not a green card holder. And you need to be physically inside the United States, and you must have a lawful admission into the United States. If you are not present inside the United States, your process will typically take twice as long. The same goes for marrying a green card holder. Your process will take twice as long because you will have to wait for your priority date to become current, and you will probably need to attend an interview at the US consulate in your home country. If you want to learn more about the specific timelines for getting a green card through marriage, I have included a link to my video, The Real Timeline for Your Marriage Green Card Case, which includes a lot more information. I'll include a link to that video in the description below. If you are the parent of a US citizen or an unmarried child under age 21, you are also considered to be what is known as an immediate relative. You do not need to wait for the visa bulletin to become current in your category in order to adjust. That means you may be able to get a green card in as little as 1 to 2 years while being inside the United States. But again, this also requires a lawful admission into the US. And while US citizens can sponsor family members such as siblings and adult children who may or may not be married, these processes take a terribly long amount of time, requires the application to become current according to the visa bulletin, and also require for the relative to have no unlawful presence in the US. So typically, cases for siblings or adult children will require the family member to do their processing outside of the United States. Next is the EB1A Extraordinary Visa. This is an employment-based application that is for persons who can show extraordinary ability in the arts, sciences, business, or athletics. If you are approved, you may be able to get a green card in as little as 1 to 2 years, especially if you pay for premium processing, which allows the case to be processed a little bit more quickly. This is a great option because the EB1A visa does not require for you to be sponsored by any other employer or to have a labor certification, but it does require for you to meet 3 out of 10 criteria to show that you are extraordinary in your category. These are the criteria that you can see here on the screen. As you can see, these criteria are not normal criteria and can be quite difficult for the average undocumented immigrant to satisfy. Therefore, the EB1A visa is not going to be as easy as you may think, nor will it be a good option for the majority of immigrants in the US. But coming up, I will share an option for which you may have a better opportunity in, so stay tuned. While we are on the topic of employment-based visas, another option that can help you quickly get a green card is something called the EB2 National Interest Waiver visa. Similar to the EB1A, this visa was attracted to create the brightest and best talents to the US. And just like the EB1A, the National Interest Waiver can help you get a green card in as little as 1 to 2 years. But just like the EB1A, you also must satisfy 3 of the following criteria that you see here on the screen. If you do satisfy these criteria, you must also be working on a project of national importance to the US that you will be likely successful with, like developing new medical treatments or coming up with new AI software. Again, this is not likely to be something that the majority of immigrants qualify for, but if you do, it is a great way to get a green card. Keep in mind that these visas also have some other requirements such as being in status, having a lawful entry, and not having a certain amount of unlawful presence. So make sure you get your case evaluated before you try applying for these cases. The next way used to be a very fast way to get a green card in the US, and that is through asylum. As most of you already know, asylum is for those immigrants who are afraid to return to their home country for one reason or another. These reasons must actually fit into one of the 5 very narrow grounds outlined by the government. And in addition, in order to seek asylum, you have a deadline of filing within 1 year of entry into the US. Once your asylum application is approved, you will be eligible to apply for a green card just 1 year after approval. However, right now, there is a backlog of more than 1 million asylum cases. So it is taking the government years before they can even give an interview to assess eligibility. As a result, you could be waiting as long as a decade in order to receive your asylum approval and wait even longer for a green card after that. So while this option used to be a fast way, that is no longer the case right now. Another way to get a green green card quickly is through the Military Parole in Place program. Biden's recent parole program was stopped by the courts. However, the Military Parole in Place program is still in existence, and it is a great option for relatives of U.S. military personnel. In order to qualify, you must be the spouse, parent, or unmarried child of a military service member. Your military family member can either be in active duty or in the reserves, or may even be a veteran. And if you get approved for Military Parole in Place, then you may be able to get a green card in as little as 16 to 18 months after that. The next option is VAWA. VAWA stands for the Violence Against Women's Act, but it's not just for women, it is also for men and parents and children. And it provides a way for these categories of relatives of U.S. citizens to get a green card. If you are the spouse of a U.S. citizen, in order to qualify for VAWA, you must be married to a U.S. citizen or have a divorce that is less than 2 years old from that U.S. citizen. If you are filing for VAWA as a parent, your child must be at least 21 years old, and you must have suffered some abuse after the child turned 21. For both cases, you need to have suffered either physical or emotional abuse, which can include any of the behaviors that you see here on the screen. You can also qualify for VAWA as a child if you are the child of a U.S. citizen who has also subjected you to abuse. You can expect that a VAWA application will take between 2.5 to 3 years for approval, and then you can expect your green card to be processed within 6 to 12 months thereafter. This means you may be able to go from being undocumented to having legal status in about 3.5 years. As opposed to the first option that I mentioned earlier about getting a green card through marriage, this application through VAWA does not require for you to have a legal entry into the U.S. Neither does it matter whether you have unlawful presence. In the majority of cases, you may be able to process your VAWA application while remaining inside the U.S. I have helped thousands of immigrants throughout the U.S. successfully file for VAWA. So if you think you may qualify and you want to learn more, please give my office a call to schedule a case evaluation. Okay, bonus time. This last option is not as fast as some of the others, but it is an option that many more undocumented immigrants most likely qualify for. And if you get approved, you may be able to get a green card without leaving the U.S. within approximately 5 years after you apply. It can give you the ability to travel internationally, give your spouse status so that they can safely live with you, grant you deferred action, and even overcome the permanent bar and false claims to U.S. citizenship. For those who don't already know what I'm talking about, this is called the T visa. The T visa is designed to protect persons who have been in situations where they were forcibly taken advantage of by others. And the reason why so many undocumented immigrants likely qualify for the T visa is because they are often put into situations where others do forcibly take advantage of them. These can include situations where if you ever work for somebody who called you names, underpaid you, refused to pay you properly, refused to give you medical treatment, refused to let you leave the job premises, threatened you with deportation, or threatened you from getting a job elsewhere. These are signs that may actually indicate that you might qualify for the T visa. Another example where a T visa may be appropriate for you is if you are in a relationship with somebody who also forcibly gets you to do all the housework or make you give over all of your earned money or force you to pay back some sort of perceived debt to them. Another common situation may be if you have crossed the border with the help of a coyote who forced you to do things such as cook, clean, transport materials, or other worse things. Basically, if somebody forcibly caused you to work and made you feel scared to refuse them, you might be a good candidate for a T visa. As for the timeline, it takes roughly 2 years to get a T visa approved. And once you're approved, you're eligible to file for a green card 3 years after approval. But if you know what you're doing, you may be able to get special permission from the Attorney General's office to apply for a green card even sooner. So you could go from undocumented status to having a green card in approximately 5 years through the T visa. My name is Moumita Rahman, and in my 14 years of practicing immigration law, I have helped thousands of immigrants all over the United States. I know what USCIS is looking for when filing for a T visa, so if you are interested in understanding whether you qualify, you can schedule a case evaluation by calling 212-248-7907. We are based in New York. However, we work with clients all over the United States. Your journey is our fight, and we're with you every step of the way. If you would like to learn more about the T visa, make sure to watch my other video, the top 7 T visa secrets that other lawyers won't tell you. In it, I'll explain why I consider this to be a miracle visa, and I give more examples of who may qualify. I'll include a link to that video here. Click to watch this video next, and I'll see you there.